There you go.
Good afternoon. From North Central Texas. I'm Eric Alsup. I'm the General Manager of Kasten and Tomlyn for the United States. And we're here to talk about, with the cooperation of Sally here, we're here to talk about general management of mares and foals with our examples of Sally and Dapper Dan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jen Kasten. I'm our Technical Services Veterinarian for Kasten USA and Tomlyn. So today we're out with Sally and Dapper Dan talking about management and husbandry of mares and foals. Dr. Alsup, do you want to talk about how you managed Sally before Dapper Dan came into the world?
Yeah, so
how did you take care of her? What kinds of vaccines?
Sally's always kept on a roughage-based diet. She always has coastal Bermuda, which is very common in this area, free choice. And then she's given a concentrate to make sure she gets the proper micronutrients to balance things out, which is especially important when she's carrying a foal and has to be eating for two. Mm-hmm. In addition, at our place, all of the horses get Flexidin Advanced UC2 because they're not quarter horses. Quarter horses are prone some to arthritis issues. Most of ours are reigning working cow horse bred like Sally is, so they need a little extra help with their joints, and we get that from Flexidin UC2. She's kind of a camera hog. So as we get closer, when we knew she was pregnant in foal, we of course made sure she was already up on all her vaccines, and then the critical full vaccines that the rhino she gets in the 5th, 7th, and 9th month of pregnancy. Then we on this place, we come back and give a booster about a month before foaling, just with the idea of trying to have as high an antibody level in the colostrum as possible.
Excellent. Did she get her core vaccines as well?
Core vaccines she had at before she ever got pregnant, yep. And then those are the ones that we worry about for the foal are boosted right before foaling. In addition, as she gets closer to foaling, then this is a first foal mare. And it's her first baby. She has a great temperament. She's a wonderful mare, but you never know how things are going to be with a first foal. Mm-hmm. So we started her, as soon as she started waxing, we put her on daily Zilkine just to help her if any anxiety had popped up in the foaling process, anything that made her nervous, would have just smoothed that through. And we kept her on Zilkine daily. We gave her one packet twice a day. Through the first 2 days after foaling, and when we saw that everything was really smooth, we went ahead and discontinued that at that point.
Excellent. Glad she did well on the product. And so tell us about her foaling. Yeah.
So we have a great foaling stall. I personally believe that most mares are completely better left alone. The hardest part for us, whether we're veterinarians or owners, is letting them be alone to have their babies. And anybody who's worked with cattle, calving often needs more assistance. Horses don't. I think something like 99.8% of all mares can foal alone if left alone. She foaled alone with our other horses around her, cheering her on and helping out. So by the time my wife Tina arrived on the scene to make sure everything was okay, this little guy was already up on his feet. He's already nursing. He's very strong. Just a very natural foaling process.
Excellent. So those who maybe don't have a lot of experience with foaling, do you want to talk us through what owners should look for a normal, once a foal has hit the ground, kind of when they should be nursing, standing, nursing, those kinds of things?
It's wonderful. I'll take it. How about if I take it a few steps before, too?
Absolutely.
We all know that the timing's not real exact with foaling, but we do know they're approximately 11 months to have a foal. And then we start watching for the signs. The vulval area and the musculature at the top of the tail head loosen up, they relax, they start to get ready for that pelvis to be able to stretch to let a big guy like that out. He wasn't quite that big 2 months ago when he was born. Good boy. You can start to see the relaxation. You can start to see them isolate themselves a little bit from the herd. And the sign that everybody looks for, which can appear or not appear, is waxing. Prior to that, especially in a first foal mare, you're going to begin to see the udder develop. And that's usually within 3 weeks of foaling. None of these are real indicative signs that you can count on, but usually in the last 3 weeks you're going to see the udder begin to develop, and then in the last 48 hours typically you're going to see some waxing, which is just the early colostrum oozing out of those teats and coating the top of the teat. what a ham over there. So when we see that, we keep a much closer eye. We start checking during the night, so a few times during the night. Have them in a protected area so that if they do foal during the night, we have them where we can take care of them. And sheepfold, about 75% of all foals are born at night, mostly between 11 p.m. and dawn. And then there's another little bump in the late morning. She broke all the rules. We let her out that morning, and she had it in the pasture with the other horses. Very happy for all of them, and it worked out really well for us. And then we brought her into the stall, and we kept him in for a couple days at that point, just to make sure that there was no hassle from the other horses, that she could just focus on him and being his mom for the first few days. Didn't really have to think about anything else, being that it was her first foal once again. And then after those few days, we start reintroducing her to the herd.
Oh, great. Sounds like he got up and nursed right away.
So there's another point that you asked me about, and I didn't say. A foal should be on its feet and nursing within 2 hours for everything to be normal. Usually the placenta is completely passed and everything's good within an hour after birth. She did all that just the way she was supposed to. She made it really easy on me.
That's great.
So she had, which was good. I was actually traveling and I just got the news by text message from Gina. Yeah. So the foal up and nursing.
Great.
You want to know ahead of time that there's stuff in that bag. There is colostrum waiting there. She had good colostrum. She's as you can kind of see from his flesh, she's milked really well ever since. In many farms, then in the first 24 hours, the farms are drawing a blood sample to make sure that there's adequate immunoglobulins. While there's still time to get colostrum in, while the gut's still absorbing it. So he had very good immunoglobulin levels. He just hit the ground running and hasn't looked back.
That's great. I'm so glad that he was so healthy and everything went as planned.
Strong as a horse, as they say.
Hey, there you go. And seems to be continuing to nurse well and nibbling some of Mom's grain.
He definitely does that. We had talked before we started about creep feeding. I have crepe fed in the past. She shares her feed, so there's no need to creep feed with him. He's getting more than he wants. He's getting all he wants. So we'll just continue to add to her ration as a creep feed, and as long as his growth and his flesh stays the way it is, we'll be happy with that.
Excellent. When are you planning on weaning him?
So weaning typically happens sometime between 4.5 to 6 months. And I can't tell you right now. It's I don't set a date, a calendar date. I will tell you that we will do it as atraumatically as possible. We're set up so that what will probably happen is some days we'll just let her go out without him, and sometimes he'll go out with the geldings without her, and the other one will stay in this stall. At nights, there's 2 adjacent stalls here, both big stalls, that they can be right by each other. He'll always have an adult horse with him to keep him calm and keep him company, and just keep them both from getting excited about it. And we'll Tina and I will just kind of play it by feel. When it seems like he's not nursing as aggressively and she seems ready, sometime in that 4.5 to 6.5 month phase.
Perfect. And might this be a good time to use some Zilking if your mare maybe wasn't as calm and relaxed?
Well, I think even with a calm mare, don't you? There are a lot of farms now that are using Zilking, and we certainly will, to get through that trauma of the stress. Even as calm as we're going to make it, there will be a lot of noise. They'll be anxious to be apart from each other. So definitely at that time, both of them will get daily Zilking. It's such a safe product, safe milk-based casein product that there's just no reason not to, and it'll help them both get through the stress of that separation time.
For those of you in our audience that are maybe less familiar with horses, weaning is a bit of a time like the first time you take a human child to preschool, and how that can be both very, very stressful for mom and the kid, and it's all of a sudden changing social groups, and first time away from mom, and you know, the environment is similar to home, but potentially different. So that's what we're kind of dealing with in the horse world, an analogous situation to what we're dealing with weaning in the horse world, for those of you who may not know horses as well as Dr. Alsup and I do. So that's great. So what are your plans for Dapper Dan? What's he going to do when he grows up, besides being really cute?
Dapper Dan is very well-bred, reigning working cow horse bloodlines, and that's what he'll do. I'm so excited to have him. I can virtually guarantee, I'm not at all practical, I can virtually guarantee his first day will be spent with the same people as his last day, and that he'll never see another home.
That's excellent.
Yeah, we're delighted to have him. And his mom. Great mare. She's been calm. She's an excellent riding mare and has proven to be a very good brood mare. She's not going to be an annual brood mare because I still want to ride her. So
yeah, I was going to say,
she can't have another foal until he's big enough for me to ride him. So she's got about 3 years of working with me before she can go back to being a mom.
Excellent. So when do you think you'll start to put Sally back to work? After Dan weans, or?
After we weans, we can get back to serious work. But we'll start riding probably within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I like to keep mares in good physical shape, and I also like the training effect on both the mare and the foal of having to deal with that, having to get used to the baby following along. I think it's really good for both of them to start back in riding before weaning time. So we'll do that. We may pony along a little bit or just let him trail along. We have a place here where we can keep him fenced in and keep him close to mom. So we'll probably start within a couple weeks.
Oh, great. I'm sure she'll enjoy it.
You want to step on over into the way we start handling on
Absolutely.
foals? Well, what I'm going to do, I think the first thing, not yet.
Not
no.
yet. Okay.
We'll talk about how we start in days. If you could grab that bucket of feed, though, and then pull the gate the rest of the way closed. So as we've discussed before, that I know you and I both agree on, the first thing either of us do when we go into a stall with a mare and foal, with the idea that we're going to take that our target is the foal. I'll take that.
All right.
That our target is the foal, we always start with the mare. We're always going to make sure that she's comfortable. I think we have to keep in mind that horses are a prey species, and even somebody they trust, who comes in and makes a beeline for the foal, looks like a threat. If I come in and I talk to her, and you can see that Sally and I talk a lot, if I come in and talk to Sally for a while first and assure her that it's me and I'm not really out to hurt her foal, and then the second step I typically do, rather than tie the mare up and create another cause for anxiety, I just put some feed in a bucket. If I really have a calm mare like Sally that I can trust, I put some feed in the bucket so that I can keep her distracted and be able to manage the foal. So I'm going to put some feed down for her. And we'll see, we may get a demonstration of why we don't have to creep feed him. He's sharing with her and she's very generous in sharing with him. Then when we start handling the foal, the first couple of days, all we're doing, we're not even restraining like I am here, just trying to bring him closer to the camera. The first couple of days, all we're doing is playing with the foal. We just come in, reach out our hands, scratch where it itches like this, rub him all over, just try to make it very positive for the foal. Nothing that would create any kind of stress. So we're just messing with him, trying to find those itchy spots. He has one right here by his tail that he particularly loves. Likes his chest pretty well too. You can see those lips going when he's liking it. So in the first couple days, we're not doing anything except getting him used to human contact and making that a positive. Rubbing back, you can see him chomping. He got some of mom's feed, and You see I have them very lightly restrained. And that's how we handle them. We kind of sneak around, trying to get the foal to come to us too, rather than going toward them. Trying to get that foal interested to come over, be scratched, be petted. And only after that, after those first several days, when we feel like everything's calm and he's used to being touched, then we'll get the arm around front and maybe one on the butt so we can restrain the forward and backward movement. I start doing things like very carefully hugging so they get used to that restraint.
Straight and pressure on his back a little bit.
All of that, keeping the rubbing going. I think the kind of a steady metered movement helps foals too. And so I try to keep a rub, kind of a time going, rubbing and scratching in time. And after those go well, we want to get them used to having their feet handled while they're little, because if you wait till they're as big as the mare, you could have quite a fight on your hands. So we're reaching down, just for some days we're just rubbing the legs lower and lower. Eventually we'll reach down, pick up that foot, not hold it for very long, but also we want to set it back down while the baby's being calm. Same with the back foot, just picking it up long enough so he knows we did it. Rubbing all over, keeping it, trying to keep it really positive. And then at this time too, Tina and I'll start moving him around a little bit. So my leg's just pushing into him right now, and then my hand on his bottom. I'll have my back to you for just a minute while we kind of make a circle. But so just gently getting him used to restraint and forward movement, encouraging movement. Work on the side passes, advanced maneuvers for a foal. And then it's only after we've done that for days and maybe weeks that we ever get anything that would be as much restraint as a halter.
Okay.
So if you'll grab that little purple halter for me,
Absolutely.
then I'll work that onto him. And in everything we're doing, keep the lead rope separate for now.
Okay.
In everything we're doing, we're just trying to do it in the least traumatic way possible. A foal, even an adult horse in this situation, has a tendency to want to go backwards against the pressure, rear up. So the idea in that is to not give them anything to fight against. As they go backwards, we give in to them. And initially, I don't have a lead rope or anything. I'm still guiding with my hand in front and my hand on the butt. And then I'm just using the halter a little bit. Maybe make circles. Again, every time the foal goes back, I try to go back with it. I don't want it flipping over. I don't want it having any more anxiety than absolutely necessary. Smile for the camera. And only after we're doing pretty well at that and we're guiding around, we would go to adding a lead rope, but not really depending on the lead rope. As we do this, we still try to stay, keys are staying as close to the foal as possible. Staying right next to him. That's the safest place to be, and it's also the comfort place for the foal. So I'm just moving him along with my hand on his butt, trying not to put any pressure on the head if I can avoid it, and using the halter just to guide. And when he pulls back, I let go. I'm going to try to get to where I'm more of a comfort, get my hand up where it's more comforting for him. I wouldn't tie a baby like this for months, maybe not even until it was a yearling. But we're going to have this guy leading pretty well in just another few weeks, which makes it easier to take he and his mom places. As you mentioned earlier, Dr. Kasten, makes it much easier if something does happen. If an injury happens or anything that requires veterinary treatment, you've got a handleable animal that's used to being handled, that's calm and trustworthy, that actually isn't going to be more scared.
That's great. And remind folks why you don't want to lead a foal, rely on the lead rope to lead a foal.
Yeah, that's their biggest tendency, thanks for that, their biggest tendency, and this happens if you have a puppy with a collar too, their biggest tendency is to pull back against the pressure. So right now he's leaning heavy on me because he doesn't feel anything from the lead rope, just my arm, and he trusts me a lot. So as soon as you get out front, for one, it's very unnatural to come toward you, so they want to back away. Two, when they feel that pressure, their instinct is to fight against that pressure.
Yep.
And so they'll tend to fight back, flip over backwards. So we're just trying to keep any of that forward pressure, stay beside them, work them in circles, do everything to make it as atraumatic as possible. He has a fly there that he thinks is pretty traumatic today.
Yeah, that's bugging him pretty good.
Good boy. As they get more used to it, the rubbing turns into pats and stuff too. We want to raise a foal that's safe for children, that's safe for anybody. So we're doing things starting now to try to get them used to all kinds of things.
Sounds like he's set up for success.
He's a wonderful foal.
He's a pretty good guy.
We thoroughly enjoy it. Of course, the work would then intensify somewhat with more leading and things after we wean and after mom's away. And it's really, we're lucky to have a mare like this. It's going to stay this calm. Even when he gets upset, she just says, everything's okay.
Perfect.
Helps us a lot.
So Dr. Alsup, are you planning on using any supplements as he's growing? You talked a little bit about using some Zilking for his weaning.
Correct. In the anxiety parts, and we always have Zilking around for anything that causes that stress. Weaning, first time he goes to a show, first time we put him in a trailer, which we'll do with his mom.
Okay,
The first time we do trailer loading, we'll make sure that he has Zilking. She won't need it because she's very used to it.
Yeah.
So she won't need any, but we'll give him some just so that it just makes everything go so much more smoothly.
So he learns that it's a positive experience.
Exactly.
Not
If you can make that if you can make that first experience positive, everything goes better after that, doesn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
The other one we use every horse gets, and he will. I believe in it right from the earliest days when they're getting grain, and that's Plexin UC2.
Okay.
Plexin UC2 isn't for developed arthritis as much as it is to really keep the body from going there, from developing those problems. It teaches the immune system that those are normal things going on in that joint. And I think if he can have it from his earliest days on grain, and he already gets it in his mom's grain, that it'll help him have a much better athletic career, I believe.
Speaking of his athletic career, as you start to put him into work a couple of years from now, what about potentially helping support his muscle development as he's learning to be a reiner or a cow horse?
These are really key things because the stress, even with trainers who are being very careful to bring a horse on gradually, the things that the working cow horse and reiners do can put a sudden stress on. They can be prone to rhabdomyolysis. So anything we can do with supplements to try to make the muscle support more capable. We're looking at things like, can we help that muscle system deal with lactic acid better, right? And the circulation and recovery from it. So we just like I do myself in my own exercise program. When I have a strenuous day, I use branched chain amino acids. So we want to make sure there's branched chain amino acids in there, and the products that can just help that muscle recover faster from it.
Yeah, same concept. When I'm working out, I'll certainly take a protein shake after.
Come on,
Sally
Sally.
wants all the attention.
Come on, Sally. Bad girl.
Time for my time on the camera. But,
Good girl.
Exactly, those branched chain amino acids can be very helpful to support muscle recovery, help build up those muscles so
There's endless supply of evidence on that. Most of it human-based, but more and more from horses too.
Yep, learning every day, and there's some great research being done out of the University of Kentucky that we just learned about last week. Some Dr. Urschel's work down in UK. Hopefully we'll get even more knowledge on the utility of products like BC2A and Myopower.
In addition, one that I really like in full, immunoglobulins earlier. We can help that immunoglobulin balance by providing immunoglobulins from another species with the Epic products. And with the Epic Full, we can get that in and really help. The key to that, as you know, I'm not telling you anything and you don't know, but for our audience is that you're giving special help for the bacteria and viruses that are in the gut.
In the gut.
Before they have a chance to absorb into the circulatory system. So it can be really important.
Yep, and our Epic
Good
Daily
boy.
product can help his coat look great so that he'll be nice and all shiny when he goes into the ring and all those sorts of things. And,
Boy, she's a little jealous of that camera, isn't she?
she is.
She wants to participate in this a bit. Yeah, so definitely we go for those, and the others are somewhat work and need dependent. As we look in the others, in a show environment we have the heavy dust, everything that's kind of a respiratory challenge, and although it's we don't intend it for treatment of respiratory disease, the Secreta Pro, of course, is really good at helping them clear out the dust and things that they can get in long trailer rides, at horse shows, or even here in the north central Texas dusty environment.
Exactly. Or for foals that are around other foals in bigger barn situations, at times of weaning, they can much like our preschoolers, can acquire some respiratory health challenges from a new
Kindergarten
environment.
syndrome.
Exactly, kindergarten daycare situation.
Everybody's healthy, but they make each other sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And certainly that stress component adds to it, no doubt.
So those will be the main ones that
Okay,
he'll know
Yeah.
and many days of his life. Some of them every single day.
Yeah.
And just balancing depending on how his work ends up and how his exercise routine, how strenuous it gets for him.
Well, that sounds great. Well, I think we're just about done for today. Dan's been a very cooperative star of our show this afternoon, and we'll let him get back to hanging out with Sally.
Well,
But
we've got to mention that this is Dapper Dan, and that
Oh,
he was
yes.
actually named by the Tomlyn and Barn Chats folks in an online contest. He became Dapper Dan, chosen by one of the people who participated in that, and he's been that ever since. So his picture was on then as a newborn, his first day, and he just continues to hog the camera and trying to be a celebrity.
well, hopefully we'll get to visit with him again in the future.
I look forward to that.
One question we did get is, what is the best way to handle a new baby to get them used to new people and other animals?
Oh, great question, actually. And
Thank you, Jill.
I would say following the same guidelines. The key guidelines are remembering that a horse always sees itself as a prey animal. So you introduce everything with that in mind, that you've got to introduce new things and make it clear that they aren't threatened, that this is not a predator, and that they're going to be safe. So we do that in a very gradual environment. We again approach with the mare first. Whoever people or other animals that I would introduce into the environment are going to be introduced to the mare first. And when she's settled down and thinks things are okay, then we'll gradually introduce the foal. With me or Tina, my wife, going in first and settling the foal, and then introducing the others. We have dogs and goats and ducks and all kinds of animals here to be able to cattle. So we'll introduce animals gradually to him over his early life, so he really has that opportunity.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Dr. Alsup. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
To our Facebook audience out there, thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we'll get to see Dan again soon as he continues to grow.
Thank you.